everybody, welcome back to Crafty Anew. In today's video we're going to be making decor for a summer tier tray. So let's get into it. So as you can see, what I have laid out for the first DIY we're going to be doing is a tag. I just so happen to have a Merry Christmas tag, but you could use any kind of tag you want. You can even use a piece of board or whatever and cut your own tag shape out of it. I just so happen to have this left over from Christmas, so I'm going to use it. I also have one of these iron-on transfers. These are super easy to use. We're going to use that. And I've also got some scrapbook paper that we're going to be using. So we're not going to need to be doing any painting. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to ink the edges of this to kind of make it a little more rustic and grungy. Okay, so the Park Lane Mariposa, I think is how you say it. I got this from Joann's, and I actually got it really cheap too because they had it on, it was like 50% off, I think it was. And as you can see, it's got some, I'll turn it sideways so you can see it. It's got some really pretty papers in it. Well, today I am going to be using, where is it at? This one right here. I just think it's so pretty with the butterflies and the moths and everything. And I'm just going to trace out the shape of my tag onto the scrapbook paper. I'm going to go ahead and cut this ribbon off first though. We don't need it. And I'm just going to take a pencil and trace that out. I'm not worried about the pencil marks because you're not going to see them by the time I'm done inking it and stuff. And I'm just going to Mod Podge it onto this side so that we don't see all the Christmas stuff. Now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to cut off all this excess paper that's on it. We kind of, because what I did is I kind of cut it a little larger than what it should be, so that way I knew that I would get all the edges covered. Then I'm just going to sand the edges a little bit to make it look a little more rustic and rough and grungy. I'm going to use Distress Ink and Forest Moss, and I'm just going to go around all the edges and distress everything. The paper, all that good stuff. As you can see, this color goes perfect with what we have going on here. You want to make sure you also focus on the edges because you will be able to see those, so I'm just going extra heavy-handed on the ink. Like I said, if you don't have ink, you can use paint, which would probably, I mean, it would do just the same thing. Just make sure paint's out. Okay, I still do not have, and I'm probably the only one in the world that doesn't have a mini heat press or anything. So I still have to use my bulky big iron, which is fine. And don't come at me with how I say iron. I know everybody always judges me about it. I don't know. I've just never been able to say it. So I'm just going to center my iron on in the middle of my tag. I think that looks good. Then I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper. And I'm going to lay that parchment paper over my tag, like so. And then I'm just going to lay the iron on it. And I'm just going to iron over it like you would anything else that you're ironing. Please be careful when doing this, it'll get very hot. And then we're just going to let that cool, and we're going to take off the plastic and the parchment paper. So once it's cooled, we're going to remove this top sheet. Oh, is that pretty? That is so pretty. I love it. Okay, let's finish the project. Now, I decided that this needs a few little butterflies for the summertime, because why not? I got these butterflies off Temu. You can actually see the haul that I got these in. I will put the link in the description box below and the card up here in the corner. I'm just trying to find something because I want one more butterfly, like maybe down here. We could just do like a solid pink. Would that be? Oh, we could put the pink up here. And then this one down here. Yeah, I think that would look very pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to glue those on with my hot glue gun. My very used glue gun. And then I have some of these little stick-on gemstones. I don't trust the actual sticker, so I'm going to use some art glitter glue. And then I'm just going to put one on each of these buttonholes on these butterflies. Then I'm going to take some jute twine and I'm going to put some beads on it. Now I got these wooden beads at the Dollar Tree. Okay, before we put our string beads on, I'm going to take a piece of this same scrap paper and I'm going to make me a hole reinforcer. So first I'm going to punch a hole in my paper. Just like that. Now guys, you do not need to do this. Like I said, I'm just doing it because I just think it's going to make it look a little neater around that hole. And then I'm going to take a bigger hole punch. I'm going to center it to where I want it. You're going to center that hole right in the middle of this. I don't know if you guys can see. So I'm going to center that. Where did it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh no! Where did it go? It went flying. Okay, there it is. That's not centered. I'm going to do it again. Sorry. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to getting stuff centered. It drives me insane if it's not. There we go. That's better. So you can see I've got a hole reinforcer now. And I'm just going to glue that right there over our hole. Now I'm going to take my beads. I'm going to string the rope through the hole. Now once I have them through the hole, I'm going to take my extra cord or my extra jute twine and I'm just going to wrap it around to the back and glue that down with the one that we ran through the front, just like a cross shape. I'm going to use hot glue for this. Now, something I like to do to finish out my projects is I'm going to apply the rest of that scrap paper to the back so that the back doesn't look all yucky. because this is going to be on a tier tray, so you're going to be able to see both front and back. Now, we need some way for this to stand up on our tier tray, so all I'm going to use is some tower tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to want it, of course, standing up like this. So I'm just going to attach or run some glue. That was way too much glue. And then I'm going to take the other one and do the same thing. For this project, I'm using this piece of paper that come in a paper pack that I ordered off Temu. I really liked it because I have the birds on it. And you're also going to need one of these wooden planks that you can get out of this pack from the Dollar Tree. And I'm first going to start out by drawing a line right here in the right hand corner. It's just kind of like a 90-degree angle. We're just basically trimming off the corners of this square. Then I'm going to take that piece that I cut off and I'm going to use that as a template so that I can make sure I get each corner the same size. And I'm just going to take it and put it there on the corners you can see here, and I'm just going to draw a line and cut the other three out using this template. When I have my 4 corners cut off, I'm just going to take the finger sander I have and I'm going to sand this down to kind of round the corners a little bit and to make it more smooth so that it's easier to paint. And we have a guest appearance. This is Shadow. She is my crafting buddy. She's just making sure I'm doing everything right, checking out the quality of work. I love this girl to death, and if she wants on my desk, she gets on my desk when she wants. All I have to do is just start petting the fur on the back of her leg, and she'll eventually move. Because for some reason, when I pet the hair on the back of her leg, she does not like it. So now I'm going to take this antique white, and I'm just going to give this 2 coats of paint, and I'm going to paint the front and the back. Now this next thing I'm going to show you is a technique that I learned a while back by accident, and ever since I figured it out, I love doing this. So I'm taking this pyrography marker. If you're unfamiliar with that, it's kind of like a wood burning marker. And I'm just going to color over the paint. Now I know you're not supposed to use these markers over paint because it has a weird effect, but that weird effect is what I'm going for. So once I have that painted on my edge, I'm going to take my heat gun to dry it because that's how you use this marker and that's how you get the wood burning look. And I'm going to do this all around the square. I'm going to paint a line and then I'm going to dry it with my heat gun. And here shortly you'll be able to see the effect that this gives this piece, and I absolutely love it. And so I do this a lot over paint because depending on the color of paint, you get a different effect. So, you know, it's just variant on the different colors of paint. Now here's where it gets interesting, and here's where I get the color that I want. So once I have all that burnt into my paint, I'm going to take my finger sander and I'm going to sand all this down, and it's going to turn into this beautiful mossy green color. And it just looks so natural doing it this way. Now I know I could have used some ink and done, you know, used my moss ink or whatever, but doing it this way it just looks like it's just burnt into it, literally. Like it's just made this way, and I love the green color that comes from it, and I just think it turned out really good. So this is a great technique to use, and like I said, different color paints, you get different results. Now I'm just going to take a glue stick and I'm going to put that on the back of this picture, and we're just going to glue that down right in the center of the square. Once I have that glued on, I'm just going to take some Mod Podge and seal all of this so that the picture doesn't get ruined. And I'm just going to give it 1 coat of Mod Podge and we're going to let that dry. And then once the Mod Podge is dry, I'm going to glue a tumbling tower block, just like we did in the project before this, onto the back so it'll stand up on my tier tray. So for this project, we're making a tier tray banner. So you're going to need another piece of the scrapbook paper or construction paper, whatever you feel like using, a printable. I'm using another piece of scrapbook paper out of the same pack that we just used on the last DIY, the Mariposa, and I already had I'm sure I'm probably butchering that, but sorry. And I picked out the floral pattern to go along with the tier tray. This was a scrap piece that I already had, so I'm just going to finish it off, and then if I need any more, I'll just get it out of the scrapbook. So this is the piece we're starting with. So now I'm just going to turn my paper over, and I'm going to draw me a square, and I want it to be 3 by 5, so I guess technically it wouldn't be a square, but I want it to be 3 inches wide and 5 inches long. And once I have that drawn on there, I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to use that as my template to cut out 5 more, because we're using these to spell out the word summer, and summer of course has 6 letters in it, so I want 6 of these. When we have all 6 of our squares cut out, I'm just going to give it a little pinch down here at the bottom to fold it. I don't want the fold going all the way up because I don't want a fold mark in my papers. So I'm just pinching it down here at the bottom, and we're going to dovetail all 6 of them. Okay, once we have all of our pieces cut out, you should have 6 pieces. I'm going to get out some wooden letters I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to get the letters to spell out summer. Like, you can get these for $1.25, I think, still at the, I don't know. Man, Dollar Tree's raised their prices, so I don't know if it's $1.25, if it's $1.75. I don't know, but I'm just using wooden letters. If you don't have wooden letters, you can use a stencil, you can use stickers, you can use a marker. I'm just wanting the wooden letters to add a little more depth to it. Now I'm going to take out my color wash tint from Tattered Angels, and it's in the color of weathered copper. And I'm going to paint my letters to spell out summer. And you don't really need very much of this, and you do not have to wipe it off. You just basically paint it onto your project and let it dry. It's a little bit of a sparkle to it, and I think it just turns out real pretty, especially on wood. And you can see it soaks right into the wood, so like I said, you don't have to wipe it off once you put it on there, and it dries super quick, and it's really easy to use. So I really like the color. Now you can keep going over it to get it darker, or you can apply however many coats you want until you get to your desired color. One thing you do have to remember when you use this color wash tint is a lot of times some of that, it's not really glitter, it's just a real fine powdery, I don't know what you would call it, like a mica powder or something, I don't know. But anyways, that sometimes settles to the bottom, so you want to make sure you shake it up real good every so often when you're using it. Once these are painted, we're going to set these to the side, and we're going to continue working on the other pieces to the banner. Okay guys, for some reason my phone stopped recording when I was punching the holes, but you're basically just going to need a hole punch, or you can use whatever you have to make a hole. And what I did is I just folded my paper in half, and then I just went in about 1/4 of an inch and just punched a hole in it. So I hope that explains it. And then you want to do that on all 6 pieces. Now this next step you don't have to do, but it's just something that I'm going to do just to kind of decorate my page a little more. I have some little ringlets, and I'm just going to fake some eyelets. I'll show you how I'm going to do that after I dump it all out. How about that? Let's just dump it all out there. Some days you're the dog, and some days you're the hydrant, and today I happen to be the hydrant. Things just don't seem to be going very well for me. Okay, let's try this again. How about let's not open it upside down? Anyway, I'm just going to use some of these to kind of add a little, I don't know, something to the holes. You don't have to do this. Like I said, you can just leave it as is. It's just my preference. I don't have any eyelets, or I don't even have like a crocodile. So I'm just going to glue all this down. And this is where my art glitter glue is going to come in handy, because it dries clear, and it goes on really super thin. So I'm just going to put a little bead of my glue around the hole, just like that. And then I'm just going to put on my little jump ring, which we're calling it a eyelet for now because I don't have any eyelets. So we're faking an eyelet is what I'm doing. And then you'll have that. And I'm going to do that to all 6 pieces. So this is what all my pieces look like with the fake eyelets. Like I said, I just use jump rings for the holes because I don't have a crocodile yet, believe it or not. I just don't want to spend that kind of money. So yeah. So anyway, once I have all these put on, I'm going to take our dried letters and we're just going to start hot gluing those letters onto our pieces. So there's what we have with all of our letters glued on. And I hope you guys can see what that tint does. I hope you can see like how it just makes it look weathered and bronze, and it has a little bit of like a sparkle to it. I really hope that's picking up on camera, but it's real pretty once it's painted and dried. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some string that I have. This is kind of like a thin nautical rope or string. You can use jute twine, you can use whatever, and I'm just going to start weaving the letters on. So I'm going to start with the R because that's just how I work. I always work backwards. And I'm just going to put it through my hole and run it through the front and put it, and it's going to come out the back. Just like that. And then I'm just going to kind of scoot it down. Then I'm going to do my E. And do the same thing. So to keep those letters from moving, what we could do is we could tack a little bit of hot glue under each of these. I'm going to first trim off the rope. So there's what we have when everything's glued down. And now you would just hang it on our tier tray. Okay, for this next project, we're going to start out with one of these wooden planks, and then you can get these out of the pack of wooden planks from the Dollar Tree. There's 6 in a pack. You're only going to need 1 of them. Each one of these are 7.1 inches long, so I'm going to cut my craft sticks down to 3.5 inches long. You can see there, it makes perfect frame. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand down the ends so they're not as rough and they're a little more straight and even. But the width is 2.8. I'm going to trim that just a little bit longer because I want this part to meet up with the end of the top frame. So we're going to do 3 inches. And then that should come up to, yeah, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So you should have something like that. So again, you're going to need 4 pieces measured out at 3.5 inches. And then you're going to need 2 pieces at 3 inches. Now once we have all these sanded and cut down, we're going to start gluing them onto our wooden plank, and I'm just going to use hot glue for this. And what I'm going to do is go along the edge of the wooden plank as you can see, we've made ourselves a little frame. Some of it's a little, those popsicle sticks were kind of terrible. That's okay, I'm not too concerned about it. We're not going to see it by the time we get it painted and everything. Now I'm going to sand it real good, sand it down and make it kind of smooth. Now I'm just going to take some antique white paint and I'm going to give this 2 good coats of the antique white. Okay, so once the paint is dried, I used my Cricut. You can use stickers, stencils, whatever you have. And I just printed out fresh cut flowers, and I'm just going to put that right there in the middle of our frame. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, once I have that on, I'm going to take some of these like wooden flowers I have. I got these in a big pack from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use some paint markers, and I'm just going to paint these flowers. Okay, so for whatever reason, my camera didn't pick it up or record, or either I just forgot to hit record. But I went over it with some of that same ink that I went over in the project before, the Moss ink from Tim Holtz. If you don't have ink, you can go over it with paint. I just distressed it a little bit, and then I sanded it down to even it out and to make it look a little more rustic. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these dried cut flowers I got off of Temu, and I'm just going to kind of glue a few down here on the bottom. First I want to go ahead and do the back so that it'll stand up on our tier tray. Again, I'm just going to use some tower tumbling blocks to do that with. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue here on the edge of the tower tumbling block. And then I'm going to take some of these dried flowers, without trying to make a great big humongous mess. Take some of these real pretty pink ones, and these are real flowers, they're just dried. Okay, now that I got the ones that I want to use, I'm just going to tie those together with a little bit of rope or string or twine. So after I tie those 2 pieces together, I'm just going to put some hot glue on the jute twine, and we're going to glue it down onto the frame of our picture. Then I'm just going to tie a real dainty bow. I don't want anything big. I don't like the big in-your-face bows. So I'm just going to tie me a little basic bow. I'm just going to burn off some of these little fringes. Going to put that right there. Then I'm going to take these flowers and we're going to glue them down. And once we have that done, this project's complete. Okay, so for this next project, you're just going to need some craft sticks. You can get them in a pack of 100 at the Dollar Tree for $1.25, and you're going to need about 3 or 4. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a triangle on my craft stick. So I'm just going to take a carpenter square so I can make sure I get even sides. You can use just a regular ruler. I really stink at judging the size and making both sides equal. So I'm just taking a carpenter square, and I'm just going to draw it right here in this angle. So there's what you should have. And then you can take a pair of scissors or some miter shears, and you're just going to cut that. So once we have it cut, that's what we have. And now we're just going to use this one as a template and do 3 more of these. Okay, so once I got the picket part of the fence cut out, which you can see right here, you just want to cut it to make it look like a picket fence. There is no exact way to do this. Just eyeball it, measure it like I showed you, cut an upside down V or a triangle. What you could do is on the tip of your craft stick, just draw a triangle and just cut out the sides if you want. Okay, so now on the bottom, I'm going to line up all my pickets just to kind of see how tall I want them. Okay, so it looks like this. So I'm going to take the shortest one that I have, which is this one, and I'm going to line it up with my longest one, and I'm going to cut the ends off. Just cut the rounded part. Just like that. That way they're all equal size. Next step is I'm going to take 2 more craft sticks, and I'm going to cut the rounded parts off again. So I'm going to take those 2 craft sticks that we just cut the rounded part off, and I'm going to line them up on my carpenter square just so I can make sure I get everything straight. First I'm going to set my first picket on it, then I'm going to set my last picket on, and then we're going to set the middle on. Just like that, and then we're just going to glue those pieces down to the long pieces. Then I'm just going to cut some off the bottom to make all of them even on the bottom. So I'm just going to use chalk paint and white for my picket fence. Just going to have the white picket fence. While our picket fence is drying, I have this Dragonfly. I do not remember where I got it. I might have got it from Hobby Lobby or somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and give that a coat of this folk art metallic, and it's in the blue sapphire. This is a real pretty color of blue, and I really like the sheen that it has on it. If you don't have one of these type of dragonflies, you can get these laser cut dragonflies out of a pack. It's like a pack of 6 laser cuts at Dollar Tree, and there's 3 different designs, and this is in the design, or this is in the pack with, like, I think an owl, a dragonfly, and a butterfly maybe. I can't remember what else in there. So you can use this instead, or you can use any kind of embellishment you'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by painting my dragonfly, and I'm just going to paint the wings and half the body in this metallic blue. I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint and ink, and I'm going to paint the rest of it. The brush is still a little wet with some of the black paint. I'm not going to re-dip or anything. I'm just going to start shadowing in kind of like where the wings are with real light strokes. Just kind of blending that black in with the blue. And then kind of brushing it out as I go along. And then we're just going to let that dry, and then I'm just going to paint the head, and it's going to be blue, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of black. I think I've got too much black on the tail, so I'm going to go a little bit further down with the blue and then just kind of blend it in with the black, just like I did up here. Now I'm going to take some white chalk paint, and I'm going to mix it up with some water so that I can get some splatters going on. Got a little crazy with the splatters, so I'm just going to fix that with some of my metallic paint. Yeah, I got a little crazy with the splatter. So I'm just going to fix that real quick. So there's what I have. Didn't that turn out so pretty? I just love the colors that I used. And this the white splatters just kind of add a little more to the dragonfly. So you can get very creative with the dragonfly. I like to paint little things, so I always have fun doing this type of thing. Once my dragonfly is dry, I'm going to glue it to my picket fence. And that looks good. Just going to try to find kind of like a center point to glue it down on. I think that looks really cute there. I'm just going to glue that down on my fence. So I'm going to take my distressed oxide and ground espresso, and I'm just going to distress the edges of my picket fence. Then I'm going to take this word that I got out of my junk journal supplies, and it just says explore, and I'm going to attach it to my picket fence. Not gluing anything down, I'm just going to use my little clothespin, just like that. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to glue one of these craft squares onto the back so they'll stand up on my tier tray. This project is super easy, guys. So all I'm going to do is I'm taking this wooden house. Got it from the Dollar Tree, I think, or it may have come from Target. I don't remember. Anyways, I'm going to take this house and I'm going to give it 2 coats of the antique white. And I'm going to do front and back because, as you know, I always like the back side of my projects to be done too. Because these will be sitting on a tier tray and you can kind of see the front and back where I put the tier tray. So I'm going to paint the back also. So I'm going to paint the front, the sides, and the back 2 coats of the antique white. Once the paint is completely dry, I want to stamp something on here. Now, if you don't have stamps, you could use rub-on stickers, but you can get these clear stamps from the Dollar Tree. They're so cute. I don't like any of the sayings on this, but I really like the bicycle. So the bicycle is the only reason why I got this. But I think the bicycle is super cute. I don't have a big stamp block, so I'm just going to use my hands. You don't have to buy a big fancy stamp block or whatever, what have you. Sometimes those stamp blocks can get pricey, and I think it's stupid. So I'm just going to use my hand. And we're going to stamp that bicycle on there. I've got these ink pads. I actually got these from the Dollar Tree also. So what I want to do is I'm going to try to ombre this bike. So I'm going to do the back half of it in blue. Just like that, and then the front half of it in the pink. And then we're going to lay it on our piece right in the center, just like that, and we're going to stamp it down, trying not to smudge. Oh, that's very pretty. I like it, and I'm going to leave it just like that. Oh, that's gorgeous. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And now we're going to let that dry, let that ink dry on the paint so we don't smudge anything. So I'm going to take some of these rub-on transfers and I'm just going to decorate the top here. I'm going to use these down here, the one with the flowers and stuff. That's pretty. Okay, so after I put all my rub-on transfers, that's what I have. I think it's turning out really cute.
Now we're going to go back to the dried flowers that I used in the previous projects, and I'm going to use this pack because I want the pink, and then I think these are blue or purple or what have you, close enough to the color that I want to use on this. You can get these off Amazon. I got them off Temu. I know some people have some very strong feelings about Temu, but you know, it's cheap and that's where I get my stuff. So I'm going to take a little piece of jute twine and I'm going to tie these together. You don't have to do that because I mean, I'm going to glue them down, but I just find it easier for the glue to adhere to the twine better than the flowers. So just tying them together, I can put the glue on the twine. So once I have my flowers tacked down with the glue, I'm going to take the jute twine and I'm going to wrap it around a few times on the house and covering the flowers also. Then I'm going to cut it about even with the first half of the bow, or the first half of the jute twine. I'm going to tie it and I'm just going to make a small bow. I'm going to take my lighter and burn off all those ugly bits. For this project, you're going to need one wooden plank out of this package from the Dollar Tree. One of these planks are 4.5 by 4.5, and I want to cut them in half. So I need to cut these at the 2 1/4 mark. So now I have 2 equal halves, and I'm just going to sand it down a little bit off camera. And now that I have those sanded down, I bought this beautiful material from the Dollar Tree. It comes in a roll, and I thought it was so pretty, summery, springy, what have you. So I want to use it. I've already used a little bit of it for another project that you'll see later, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wooden planks and I'm going to measure me out a piece of cloth, and I'm going to cut it a little longer than my wood piece because we're going to trim some of it away and it's just easier to tear it when it's a little bit longer. I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and I'm just going to kind of cut it along the edge of here. And I'm going to do that twice for both wood pieces. And once I have my little pieces of cloth cut, I'm going to cut it just a little bit shorter because I want that wood showing through. So I'm going to stretch it as tight as I can. This is the best way I found to do it. And I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and cut just the very end here so I can rip some of this away because I want the frayed edges just like that. Let's see if I need any more. No, let's cut just a little bit more off. Okay, so that's perfect. And I'm going to do that to both pieces of wood plank. So once I have those cut, you can either use Mod Podge or hot glue. I'm just going to use hot glue, and I'm going to glue along the edges of the fabric. Be very careful not to burn yourself with this. It's super easy to do. You're just going to glue it onto your wood plank, just like Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. But you can also use paint. And I'm just going to go around the edges of this whole piece. Even the edges of the fabric. Again, you can do this with some watered down antique wax or whatever. This is just something I have on hand, and it's just something easy for me to use. And I love the effect. And I'm just going to kind of go around the back because, again, this is something that you might be able to see the back and you might not, but either way I want it to look nice. And I'm doing this to both pieces. I'm only showing you one on camera because I'm going to do the other one off camera, but you get the idea of what you need to do. And then you should have that. Now I have these Crafter Square stickers. They're actually wood, and I want to use the word sunshine out of this pack for one of these. The other one we're going to decorate differently. And yeah, even though these are stickers, they do not stick very well, so I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue. I'm just going to put that right there in the center of my cloth. And again, I'm going to take some more vintage photo and just go over that, just real lightly. I have these little butterfly buttons. I think I got these off Temu, or I got them at the Dollar Tree. But I thought they were so cute, so I'm going to put one in the corner there, and then I'm going to put one in the bottom corner like it's flying off. Something like that. And this one's done. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to burn off all these little, that's just hanging over. For whatever reason, my camera didn't record this part of it. So on the second one, what I did is I just took one of those pop-up stickers from the Dollar Tree and I put that in the middle, and then I added some little hearts. Alright, for this one, we need something to put these on so they'll stand up on my tier tray. So you're going to need 8 craft sticks. What we're going to start out doing is I'm going to take 2 craft sticks and I'm going to glue them together in an inverted V shape, just like that, or a triangle. No, I guess it wouldn't be a triangle, would it? So I'm just going to glue those together, probably about that wide apart. They don't have to be too wide. I don't know if you guys can hear my pups fighting, but they're just play fighting, so. Oh, yep. They're 8 months and they're blue healers, so they're little T-Rexes. If you have a blue healer, leave me a comment in the comment section down below and let me know how it's going for you. Because, tell you what, they're the smartest, most loyal dogs you could ever have. We had one, his name was Zeke. We had him for 16 years and he sadly passed away 2 years ago of kidney failure, which is common in cattle dogs. And they also live very long lives. And we decided we waited about a year, and these two came up at our local shelter, which is rare. You hardly ever find cattle dogs at your local shelter. And I don't know, it was fate. I don't know if Zeke was sending them to us, who was our last cattle dog, saying it's time to stop, mourning for me. You need to take care of these 2 little boys. They're brothers and they couldn't be separated. So I was like, sure, we'll take them. We'll take these little 2-month-old puppies. Yeah, we can do it. Needless to say, I now need a new coffee table. My furniture's tore up. I've thrown away 2 pillows. We can't have dog bedding. They're little T-Rexes, but I would not trade it for the world because they are so intelligent, so loyal, and very loving. But anyway, back to the craft. So once I hot glued those down, that's what you should have. Now we need to make the base, because what we're making is an easel, if I haven't told you. Then we're just going to cut off one of the rounded ends of one of the craft sticks, and we are going to glue it just like this to the back, right? So this will be our stand for our easel. So I'm just going to put some hot glue here on this rounded end. Sorry about that. Again, they're playing. Cattle dogs have high-pitched barks, so yeah. And I'm just going to hold that together until my hot glue dries. So there's what we have so far. We have our easel. Now we need to make our shelf, which is super easy. You're going to take the 4th craft stick and we're just going to glue it where you want it. You can have it down lower if you want. You can have it up high. I'm going to glue it just kind of like a quarter away from the bottom, or yeah, about a quarter from the bottom, quarter inch from the bottom. So I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and I'm just going to put it here on the edge of my craft stick.
and I'm going to attach it to my easel, making sure it's kind of centered. We're going to let that dry. Then I'm going to tack it on the bottom, just put a little line of hot glue on the bottom just to make sure it's sturdy. You're not going to see the bottom. So I'm just doing just a little dot of hot glue like that. It's not, this will definitely not hold much weight, but you've got a little easel anyway. So you're going to make 2 of these, okay? So you'll take your other 4 craft sticks and do the same thing, which I'll do off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've made my second easel, and you can see now that we have 2 little easels. I just think they're so adorable. They're so cute. And I want to paint these, and I'm going to paint them white. They're dry, I'm just going to distress them. And then I just distress the edges of it and put our little pictures we made, or our little wooden, whatever you want to call it, signs. And just put them on the easel. Now they can stand up on our tier tray. For this project, I'm using this little piece of, this was actually a container that held little tiny wooden plate pieces from the Dollar Tree. I don't know if I have any left. But they were just tiny little wood pieces that fit in these, and so I kept this because this would be a great frame for something, right? So I found this bird ornament also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put that in this frame. But before I can do that, we have to deconstruct it, which is really easy. It's just put together with like just a little bit of glue, and then just wood pieces just set down in there. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can put together a frame using craft sticks. It would be super easy to do. This project's going to be super simple and easy, and anybody can do it. And you can see these pieces just come right out, just like that. So now underneath you have a cute little box, like a shadow box type deal. Keep everything. This is what I say. Keep everything when you're crafting, because you never know what you may need. And everything can be used. Nothing should be wasted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the back off of this. It just saves me some work. If you don't have this, like I said, you can glue together craft sticks. This just saves me a lot of work. And now you have another little wooden piece, just a little square wooden piece that you can save for another DIY. Is I want to take these and I want to make slats in this instead of like a solid background. So I am going to take my miter shears and cut off the rounded piece. I'm not going to cut off the excess until I actually have this put together. So I'm bringing this one up to the top of my little wooden frame. And the size of this wooden frame is, if you guys want like a size, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So that's your size that you're going to need if you want to make it just like I am. You can make it as big or as small as you want. So I'm going to line that bottom up just like that with my frame. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down so that I have a top and a bottom, and then I'll just do the center. I always work from top, bottom, and then center because it helps me center everything by doing that. Oh, come on out there, glue. You can see I just had it meet up with my square. Don't worry about this, we'll cut all that off later. So let's move to the next one. So now you have a nice little slat palette, or you have a nice little frame that has slats, And then I'm just going to go through and cut the edges off. So once everything's dry and cut off, this is what you would have. And now I'm just going to go sand down some of these edges here, these like really sharp edges, and just kind of round those off. That's just where we cut them off. So now we get to do some painting, and I am just going to paint this frame white. And I'm going to paint my bird like a sage green. And then we're going to do this in an antique bronze. Or an antique wax, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to start out by painting my bird, and I'm going to be using this home decor or folk art chalk paint and sage shadow. You can get it from Hobby Lobby. It's real pretty sage green. It's a real pretty color. Okay, so while our bird is drying, I'm going to go ahead and move to our frame, and I'm going to paint the inside white. And I'm going to use some Waverly wax, and I'm just going to do the edges and the sides. Now off camera, I went through and I sanded it down really good, tried to get some of the glue webs and the glue off. I just don't like the big chunks of hot glue. And our little bird is dry. So now I'm going to take some double-sided foam tape, and I'm just going to cut me off a couple little squares. And I'm just going to put them on the back of my bird. Now I have some of this beaded garland. I'm going to cut me off enough to kind of go around the little bird's neck to make it look like she's wearing a pearl necklace. Plus it's going to serve another purpose. It's going to hide that ornament hole. Then I'm going to take a tower tumbling block, and I'm going to stand it up, or I'm going to glue it to the back to give it a little more support so that it'll stand. That's all I have for you today, guys. If you really enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. That helps YouTube notice me just a little bit more. Also, leave me a comment in the comment section down below and let me know what your favorite DIY was. And don't forget to hit that subscription button. I really need you guys to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you guys will be notified of all of my future uploads. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!